Hello there, how are you? This is Robert Lane, just doing a little video update of the last week or so of what I've been working on. And I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. First of all, people out there might find it interesting to see what a musician and actor does with their time. And also for myself as well, because I think it'll be handy to look back on things like this in future months, years, decades, just to sort of remind myself what I was up to. I do this thing called Little Wins, where every day I try and list things that have happened that have been good or pleasant, or where I've done something useful. And I find that that's good because if you're like me, it's easy to focus on the less good things that happen during the course of a day or a week or any period of time, and you sort of forget all those nice little moments, those moments that when they happen you go, oh, well, that's cool, and then they just sort of retreat from your mind, and when you then look at the week, it's gone. So when those happen, I try every day, every evening, to just write them down on a thing I have on an app called Notion that I can access on the computer or on my phone and see anywhere, and it's just useful then. And sometimes if I feel like it, at the end of a week or the end of a month, I'll look back and just say, oh yeah, I remembered that cool thing that happened. This year I haven't got New Year's resolutions or anything, but I've got 3 sort of loose targets that I'm working on, or things that I want to work towards this year. Those are: get my songs to more people, get more acting work or do more acting work, and be healthier. And each of those you'll probably tell are fairly loose, they're not too specific, because for example with the music one, get my music to more people, I'm not saying I want my songs to be on a particular radio show or a certain gig or whatever, just get more people to hear my music. So by the end of the year, have more people having heard my music than at the start of the year. Is that with the acting one, like it could be the same thing. You could say I want to be on this TV show, or I want to work with this director. I'm not really saying that, I'm just saying I want to do more this year, because I did some last year. I mean, I've always done acting stuff, but I did more I would kind of consider proper stuff last year. I would like to do more this year. And then the get healthier, it's the same thing. I'm not saying I want to lose a certain amount of weight or want to look a certain way or anything. I just want to generally be healthier. So every day, if I hit at least one of those targets, it goes on my little wins. But it could be other stuff as well, like we're still renovating the house at the moment, this house that we bought last year. We're nearly there, but there's still things to be done. So like last weekend we were doing a load of painting, so that just goes on the thing, finished that bit of painting, because you can easily forget about that stuff. So that's that, little wins. I'd recommend that, trying it yourself, because there is at least something every day that happens that's worth going on the little wins list, I find. Either stuff that I've forced to happen, or just pleasant things that happen. And I'm hoping that these little videos could be a similar thing as well. I can look back at them and go, oh yeah, that was cool, that was happening. So the main sort of news this week is that I've got a new song out, which is called Pass the Day. It's going to be out on all the streaming sites on the 31st of March, but you can hear it at the moment on my website, which is robertlanemusic.co.uk. It's got its own page, in fact, robertlanemusic.co.uk/pass the day, or if you just go to the main website, you'll find it there as well. And I've also made a little video, which is supposed to be a taster video to whet people's appetite for the song. It's like a minute worth of the song, and it shows me recording the song here in my little studio and how I put it together. And that little video looks like this.
At the start of another week, he feels so tired he can barely speak as she kisses me and walks out the door. A passing bus throws the morning light across the mess that they left last night, and he thinks of she. Was she here at all? Believe that it is true. He's been so close before, and he's not got to turn away. He'll just pass the day. Missing pass the day. Missing pass the day. Missing pass the day.
There's been a new episode of my podcast go out this week. That's the Robert Lane Creative Careers podcast, and this episode features a conversation with independent filmmaker Richard Miller. So a really fascinating chat. We talked about his latest feature, Repeat, which stars Charlotte Ritchie and Nina Wadia. His kind of process for writing and his career so far, but also the business side of being an independent filmmaker, so how distribution works and how you can get your film on Amazon and all that kind of thing. It's very interesting. And that's something that's gone on my little wins list this week, because the way it works is the sort of really fun part of doing the podcast is talking to the person. Usually at the moment that's online via Zoom. We just have a Zoom conversation. I record the audio from it. That's always fun because that's where I learn stuff. The still fun but time-consuming part, which you'll have to kind of get psyched up to, is the editing of it. So I think it must have been most of Monday really, editing up that podcast, because you have like your hour-long conversation. You're going to go through and make sure that there's no false starts, or I didn't say anything stupid, or they didn't say anything that they don't want on the podcast or whatever. And then you drop in all of your intro bits and stuff. So it's just quite time consuming. I enjoy it, but it sort of takes a while. So I need to have like a few hours where I can work on that. So having done that, that goes on my little wins list, because it's like, you did a task, you did it. I've also moved my podcast this week. It's been on Libsyn so far as the podcast host, and I'm now using Acast. So this is the first episode that's gone on there. So there's a certain amount of getting ducks in a row and jumping through hoops and stuff to make that all work, which I did, which seems to have worked so far. So that's very cool. The podcast is the Robert Lane Creative Careers Podcast. You can hear it on all good podcast providers. But again, the sort of home of it is my website, which is robertlanemusic.co.uk. So why not find it there? This week, like most weeks, I've had some music lessons to teach online via Zoom. Guitar, singing, songwriting are the things that I teach to people. Various ages, various abilities. I really enjoy doing that. And I also have a guitar club, which happens on Monday night, 6:45 or 7:45. And this is like, I teach theory and ideas and techniques and songs, but it's also like a bit of a social thing as well. We sort of chat about guitars and gigs and music and stuff, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and we've had a couple of new faces recently, which has been great. So part of my week is making sure I've got stuff to talk about and deliver in those sessions, and we're still looking for more people, whether it's for the individual lessons or we've got spaces for new faces in the guitar club as well. So let me know if you'd be interested in joining. I can give you some information about it. The beauty of doing it online, of course, is that you can be based anywhere in the world, and as long as you can make the time that we do it, and it would be great to get some international people along, actually. That'd be very cool. So yeah, send me a message if you're interested in finding out more about that. Guitar club this week, and in a couple of the guitar one-on-one lessons as well, we've been talking about seventh chords, major sevenths, minor sevenths, dominant sevenths, minor sevenths, flat fives, all this kind of stuff, like talking about the theory, how to play them, how to work out how to play the chords, but also importantly how they sound and their different uses. And a song that I was playing around with to sort of demonstrate some of these ideas was Breathe by Pink Floyd, which is one of my favourite bits of music, actually. It's fantastic. And just by coincidence, a day or two after talking about it in Guitar Club, Pink Floyd tweeted or Instagrammed that it was the 49th anniversary of the release of Dark Side of the Moon, which Breathe is on. So I just quickly put together a little video of me strumming through the beginning of Breathe, which I'll show you now because you might find it fun. The really good bit of that was just getting as close as I could to the guitar tone with like... I think David Gilmour used a Univibe pedal probably, and I don't have a Univibe pedal, but using Logic to try and recreate that sound a little bit. It's not perfect, but it's fun, I think. It looks like this. I'll tell you about the kind of less fun part of this week and where that little wins list can be useful for my state of mind sometimes when I'm feeling a bit down, which I was yesterday a little bit, I think. Sort of combination of things and just thinking about them all too much. a few things, but like I want to be doing more gigs now. I've decided that, COVID hasn't gone. I've no idea how the rest of the year is going to go. We've got the situation in Ukraine and all the awful things that are happening in the world. But you know what? Like, let's just go for stuff whilst we can. So I would love to be really busy this year with a load of shows, both music gigs, Robert Lane music gigs, and also with the intellectuals, comedy, improv, and just more of the acting stuff as well. So that's the first thing. With the acting stuff, like, what's happening with that is I've got an agent for my acting, and they submit me for stuff that come up. Of course, acting is a slightly different thing to what I do with the music, where you are reliant on somebody having a project that you're suitable for, and you getting chosen amongst all the other people who might apply. So basically, they submit me for stuff. A certain percentage of it comes back, and they might ask me to do an audition or a self-tape. And with that, actually, I read Bryan Cranston's book last year, and he's got this really cool point about being an actor, which is when you get an audition, your job is to do the audition and show them what you do. And anything that happens after that is outside of your control. So don't be focused on getting the job or the gig or whatever. Just be focused on doing as good an audition as you can, which is really useful mindset. So I kind of think of all of that stuff as being a little bit out of my control. I get submitted for stuff. I might see some projects and say to my agent, hey, do you think you could put me forward for this one? I keep an eye on my friends who do filmmaking and stuff like that as well, and sort of say, oh, I'm here if I see something that I think I might be a good fit for. But basically, if I get requested to do a self-tape or an audition, I'll make it as good as I can. And that's the next bit of it is out of my control. Why was I talking about that? I don't know. But what I was also going to say... Oh, that's it. Just saying I want to do loads of stuff. I want to do loads of music shows, intellectual shows, acting shows. So the music shows feels a bit more in my control in that I go out and sort of ask people if I can play and arrange concerts and stuff. And I've got back into doing that a little bit this week, having not really done it, all the way through the pandemic. Now trying to do it again. And as I expected, a lot of what comes back is, oh yeah, we'd like to have you, but we have a backlog of stuff that we couldn't have last year and the year before, like rescheduled stuff. So I'm getting a bit like, this is going to be the story with a lot of venues at the moment, is that they're getting through the backlog. So it's a sort of feeling of having lost some momentum, which I think is a self-inflicted kind of bullshit theory idea really, but it is a little bit painful. So there's that. And again, that's where the little wins comes in, because you can look at that and say, oh no, yeah, this venue's interested, this person said something positive. I've also had a bit of a thing with, like, I've put a lot out recently, as I've mentioned in this video, and just doing stuff on social media and that. And, sometimes you don't get a lot of feedback from that, and you can, I've talked in a video before about how you even feel like your reach is being limited a little bit by the social media platforms, which can be really frustrating. So I was getting a bit annoyed about that stuff. And then, as often happens for me, I find when I feel like that, the next day or so something happens that makes you feel a bit happier again. And I just had some really nice interactions on Twitter. Had people talking about really enjoying the podcast and my new song, kind of out of the blue, people saying that stuff, which was really cool. And then just this morning, my friend Minnie Burtz has done a thing on Instagram saying, here are some people that I follow who are creative and interesting and amusing, and she included me in that list, which was really nice. Made me feel very happy. Thank you, Minnie. You should check her stuff out as well, Minnie Burtz. Great music. She's been coming to Guitar Club over the last few weeks as well, and sort of added a new energy to it, which has been a lot of fun. I've got a lot of talented and creative friends, actually, and another thing that happens when I'm feeling in a bit of a funk is to look at their stuff and sort of try and share it and put a bit of a spotlight on them. I think there's quite a nice energy that comes from that. So I might do a bit of that today, actually, share it on social media and stuff, people who've made interesting things that are worth checking out. I think that's it for my roundup for this week then. I'm just looking at this mug that I have here. Now, I'll show you this. Often when I'm teaching a guitar lesson, particularly to a youngster, I suddenly realise I've got this mug and I'm like, oh God, I can't drink from that. I sort of stole it or borrowed it on a long-term basis from my sister-in-law. Sister-in-law and wife are both vegan. I'm veggie. Vegan a lot of the time because I eat the same meals as Connie, although I occasionally have cheese or chocolate with proper milk in. Is that interesting? Who knows? Is any of this interesting? I don't know. Maybe. Let me know. Leave me a little comment. Send me a message. I don't know. But do check out the podcast. Check out my new song. Do the thing. All right. See you later. Bye.